I've wanted to record and make this video for months now, but I wasn't sure how to be able to put everything together. So what I'll do for this video is simply read off of a small chart that I have full of points that I want to make and leave you with just a little bit of editing here and there to make sure that this doesn't sound extremely choppy or flow super slow. I want to address why I haven't been making that many videos and why I have been primarily making only music. Many people who tend to read around on my channel will realize that I've kind of moved more towards making music rather than making regular full-length videos. And there's quite a few reasons for that. And the first things first, when it comes to those videos that I need to address with the elephant in the room, is that of the Dark Disorder series. I apologize to many of the people who ended up watching the personality disorder video series within Dark Disorders, as well as the maladaptive daydreaming disorder video. I really want to hit home with this and say this with as much sincerity as possible. I did not mean for any of what I had said to be hurtful, to be painful, or to feel like you were misguided in any way by those videos. I realize now that some of the terminology and some of the phrasing that I use in those videos was hurtful to some people, and I want to apologize for that. The next thing I want to really get at when it comes to these videos is the issue of me not having enough experience. A lot of the reason I use the terminology that I did, which there's no excuse for, I know better. I simply went and used other terminology that I shouldn't have. So there's no excuse for that. I'm simply explaining why I did it. The reason I did it was because I've been learning in college to work towards an LPC, which for those who are unfamiliar with that terminology basically means a licensed professional counselor's certification, and that's basically what I am going for within the next couple years, and I'm going to earn my LPC and then go on to finish up my PsyD or PhD in psychology. The reason I want to do all of this is because I myself want to become a mental health professional and want to be able to help people outside of the normal writing which I do. A lot of people are also aware that I do horror writing, like short stories and short novels and things of that nature that people are able to read online for free for the most part. And I'd say about 99% of everything that I've written and put out over the last few years is available somewhere online for people to be able to read. And that's kind of fun, I suppose, when it comes to what I create and how people are able to consume it. I think it's a great thing that people are able to have access to what I write and are not restricted by too many things that keep it away from them, whether it be the accessibility to being able to buy a book or things of that nature. I will get to books in a moment, but I do want to get back to talking about the videos. And the reason for that is Dark Disorders has been a series that I've worked on for the last few years that I really enjoyed doing. The problem is that enjoyment could only last for so long, especially with my lack of experience. And due to my inexperience, I feel that I am not quite in a position yet where I can be an authority speaking on these issues, nor do I feel that I have the confidence in being able to have the experience in dealing with some of the people who have these conditions to speak on them, which is why I've often included video clips or direct semi-interviews from people who could explain their experience better than I could. And that's why I feel, unfortunately, I have to put a halt on Dark Disorders for now, because I do not feel like I am in a position where I can present all of this information without it hurting someone. And that was the last thing I wanted to do with this series. I've seen a lot of the comments from my maladaptive daydreaming disorder video, which at this point I believe is the most popular video on this channel, and I've come to realize that there's a lot of people who are still very confused about the disorder, who want to know more about it, who want an update to that video because of the lack of information that I provided on it, and often feel hurt because to them they see a disorder as something that is supposed to have a directly negative connotation to it, and that when you try and classify someone with a disorder, you are inherently classifying someone with a stigma, which was the last thing that I wanted to do. The whole point of Dark Disorders has been to try and break apart the dark stigma surrounding disorders, the misinformation, and try and shed some light and humanity on these conditions so that many of the people who actually experience them do not feel alone in this regard. That was the main goal of that series, and I feel that at least on some of the videos that I have done, that I failed in that aspect, which is why I want to put that series on halt and hopefully later on down the line maybe pick it up and redo the series as a whole so that I can be able to come at it with a fresher lens and be able to provide you with more information and a better perspective on each of these conditions. From that point forward, I want to address a few more things when it comes to videos that I've been putting out and a lot of the content that I've been releasing over the last few years. The reason I wanted to quit dark disorders most was really that reason. And another reason that I suppose I could add on to why I wanted to stop doing dark disorders is because I felt uninspired in doing so. I felt like a lot of the information I was putting out there was regurgitated from websites and from manuals that I had read. And I noticed there's a lot of channels that do this, and granted they have a lot more experience and are more well read on these subjects than I am. A good example of this is Katie Morton, who ends up often going to the DSM-5 for her classifications and for her information when it comes to taking upon the task of trying to explain the symptoms of disorders, which is what I would often do. The problem, unfortunately, comes with the fact that many people don't fit within the guidelines of a manual that has been curated by certain doctors or medical professionals. Not everyone fits inside of a box that you can immediately put someone in and label them with. A good example of this is the issue with personality disorders, where there is a ton of overlap between several of them, and why many people who actually have been diagnosed with these disorders either may actually be misdiagnosed or may be searching for another diagnosis because of the overlap that they are experiencing, and that label is simply a temporary one and may not be permanent due to the overlap in their symptoms that they are dealing with. That is something that professionals have to deal with, and I am by no means right now a professional, which is another reason why I feel I have to put this thing on hold, because I do not feel confident nor do I feel comfortable speaking on these issues anymore, regardless of how much I enjoyed doing the series before. And with the issue of me lacking the enjoyment of doing this and having to regurgitate a lot of information rather than putting a creative spin on things, I really do not feel like I should return to dark disorders, at least for now. So I will be putting that series on a hiatus, at least for now. And coming on to more topics when it comes to videos, I really want to speak on the issue of what content to make for this channel or to possibly make a new one. Because a lot of the videos that I have been making so far within the last several months have been primarily music. I made one documentary several months back talking about a desert ecology science project that I did for my desert ecology class and showed a lot of fun footage, even some that I actually got from Big Bend National Park while I was there and happened to be filming in the area. The unfortunate truth is that when it comes to making documentaries on my channel, regardless of whether or not I am actually fully editing these clips, which I often do, I am doing some form of tweaking or editing to them to make sure that they fit well within the guidelines of fair use, as well as look appealing to the eye and feel creative enough. The problem that I see with documentaries is that there's so much labor that goes into making them, and yet those are the only things that seem to do well on this channel anymore. And as much as I enjoy making documentaries, I do not have the time to be able to make a whole bunch of them. I could maybe do one a month, maybe one every 2 or 3 weeks, but I could definitely not do a documentary over the course of a week basis. That is simply not possible for me due to the fact that I am doing everything on my own. I have to write the script, do the research for the script, I have to record the script, edit the script, edit the video, edit the music, sometimes make my own music, edit that, put it all together, sound design, do all of the mixing and everything for the video, and then of course make the thumbnail and promote the darn thing. There's a lot of effort that goes into making a documentary compared to doing something like a horror narration video. I'm not saying horror narration doesn't take work. I know plenty of narrators who will spend entire days recording stories for one singular video. The point being is that when it comes to doing my type of videos, they can take weeks or months to actually put out. They take hours and hours of work, whether that be purely through research, doing video editing, or recording for the video itself. There's a lot of times where I feel like I want to do documentaries more, but I do not have the time, the energy, or the financial resources at my disposal to be able to do a whole bunch of documentaries, which is why I've really put those on hold, due to the fact that I have been hit with a wall and realized that I do not have a lot of time to be able to make those kinds of videos. Next, I want to discuss what I could do as an alternative. I've considered doing horror narration videos due to the fact that other people have plenty of their stories out there online, and I could read those for you and do simple editing that wouldn't take too long to put a video out, and I could have a video out every week if I wanted to that way. The problem is that I have a bit of a pride issue as far as wanting to make content for you all. I want to make it feel like it was something that I put together, and that we aren't focusing on just the aspect of my voice, which is what a lot of narrators often have to face, is they have to face this public persona that they create around their voice, and people create a relationship where they hear a narrator's voice and value only that aspect of themselves, or an aspect of their character profile, rather than actually caring about the creativity behind that person, the efforts behind that person to create content, or any of the other things that could be going on with them. Which is why whenever someone has an issue with a video that they make, whether that be they add on specific advertisements, or they end up putting things in a certain part of the video, certain people will get very upset by that. And they will lash out at these narrators because they feel that a tiny change in the way a narrator does their business is affecting them greatly, because they feel it's their comfort space and their safer space. And I understand the importance of having those type of spaces, but we also have to understand that these individuals are people as well, and they have things that they need to do, bills that they need to pay, and they need to be able to put these out within a certain pattern of time so that they can be able to have what they have. This is not a fault on narrators because of anything that they do. It's more of a fault on the community that revolves around horror narration, and I do not feel comfortable stepping into that domain again, especially after having been out of it for so many years and not wanting to actually do any of that myself. The one thing I will say as far as horror that I am continuing to do is work on a project involving a company right now that I am working with. I cannot give away too many details, just know that there are going to be 3 novels and 2 anthologies coming out sometime later on this year or next year. And the reason I want to say this now is because I want to hold myself to that standard and finish these projects. I have 1 book already done, another one on the way, and 3 more that are still in the process of being finished up. And that is kind of the beauty of this, is that I can at least give you something to look forward to in the meantime while I work on all these projects, and understand that I am doing my best to put something out there that not only will you be able to enjoy, but you will want to actually replay for yourself. Whether that be you hear an audiobook version of these books, or you actually reread them yourself. I want to be able to create content that people actually enjoy more than a singular take on. I want to be able to do that for people, and I simply cannot do that by wasting so much time on doing horror narration videos of other people's stories, or do other things when it comes to try and bide people's time when it comes to story creation or poems. I cannot spend so much time on those small projects because they only feed into the temporary. There is so much more that I want to do for you all, and I feel that those certain aspects of my sort of creative career will be hindered if I try and focus on the immediate rather than focusing on the longer haul of everything. So as far as everything else I've considered going back and making documentaries just maybe once every 1 or 2 months. It wouldn't be very frequent, of course, and they would probably be shorter length and be of varying topics. but they would definitely be videos that I want to do and would feel comfortable doing. It's just a matter of actually finding the topic that I want to do, doing the research, and then all of the editing and the processing of working through and putting it together. That's the hard part, I believe, when it comes to these style of videos. They take dozens, if not hundreds of hours to make, and they're very entertaining. Many people will go back and watch these videos over and over again, as I'm told. But the problem I still have with them is that these videos in particular take so much time and effort to make. So if you are willing to be lenient with me, let me know in the comments down below what kind of documentaries you would like to see me cover in the future, because there are plenty of topics, even within horror, that I would love to discuss in a documentary setting that I otherwise wouldn't be able to do. The problem I see with that right now is that I am in no position, due to my time frame with college and everything else that I'm trying to do to go back for my master's degree, to be able to set aside enough time to get out a documentary in a week. That's simply not possible, especially with all of the other books that I'm working on. So I could possibly do one once every 1 or 2 months, but outside of that, I think we'll have to set that aside for something else. As far as other types of content that I've considered doing, I've actually considered doing political-oriented content. However, I don't see that being a very good idea, as many of the people who came to be a part of my audience are people who wanted to come to me for something outside of politics, as they feel that a lot of that sort of culture is very toxic, and that a lot of people can be divided on those issues. I personally like looking at these from a more overhead point of view and discussing things that are still relevant, while also putting it in a framework that kind of makes sense. The problem I see is that many people are going to hear labels that they disagree with rather than try and hear out the meaning behind those labels, and will immediately reject the idea of me doing this content. I've considered putting it on another channel or putting the music that I make on another channel, but as of right now, I think I'll leave that up to you. If you want to see more, I suppose, progressive ideas as far as content is concerned coming from me, I would be happy to do it. The issue comes down to what my audience wants. If they do not want me discussing politics or discussing any of those philosophical issues in anything outside of my writing or a creative setting where people can enjoy an entertainment product, I want to make sure to give that experience to them rather than forcing them to experience something that they will not enjoy. That is something that I need to keep in mind moving forward with my creativity and my creation projects that I'm working on. The issue that I have right now is wanting to talk about so many things, yet I feel I am unable to due to disagreements people would have with me. That's why I want to leave it up to you. If you want to see these topics on another channel, I would be happy to do so and happy to create that so that you would be able to enjoy it there. But for the people who want to focus on this channel and what this channel has to offer, I still honestly believe that documentaries, maybe mental health videos outside of dark disorders that are more related to my own personal mental health and my experience with it, which there's a lot I could talk about, or even more music related stuff would probably be best fit here. Everything else I would probably have to move to another channel, probably including music. So let me know down in the comments below what you would like to see. As of where I feel I am comfortable doing things right now, I am comfortable with doing documentary videos, I am comfortable with talking about politics to some extent, and I am comfortable with talking about current things as well as doing music. Do I want to become a drama channel? Absolutely not. Do I want to become a channel that only goes after other YouTubers? Absolutely not. What I wanted to do was create content that people would be able to enjoy and put on repeat, yet was still informative in some way and intelligent, and showed a lot of the creativity and passion that I have behind these projects, which is why I still want to focus on those books first and foremost, but also why I want to be able to make sure that these options are available to you. So again, one last time, let me know in the comments below what you would like to see from me. Would you like another channel for other topics? Would you like for me to focus on only one particular thing on this channel? Would you like me to go back to doing horror? Would you like me to go back to doing some form of mental health videos? Would you like more documentaries? Would you like more music? Would you like me to actually go and talk about other things? leave a comment, let me know what you think, or hit me up on Twitter at Timothy L. Duran and let me know what you all think of this. I would really appreciate your input on this, and it might actually help dictate where I go with this channel from here on out. Thank you so much for listening, and have a nice day.